Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome back if you've been here before, and welcome if you're new here. Today we have a new moon in Virgo. So new moons are about calling new things in, new energy, new things you want to create and pull and allow into your life. So your tarot reading today will be focused on that. I have 3 groups for you, group 1, group 2, and group 3. Whenever you're ready, you can pick by the card you can see, the number, anything that resonates for you. And when you're ready, all the timestamps are below, and I will see you at the reading that you chose. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 1. So you all picked the card Compromise. So I think it's important to see that there are scales of balance here. Okay, so we're going to think about balance with this for group 1. And also, sometimes when we have resistance to the word compromise, or when it's like, oh, I don't want to do that, what we're hearing or what we think is going to happen is compromise means I'm not going to get what I want, right? If I compromise, then I'm not going to get what I want. I'm not going to be happy. I'm not going to be whatever, right? But compromise isn't just about the thing we're getting. It's about the energetic balance and kind of finding peace in how we can go about it, right? So compromise, it's like if we get everything we wanted all the time, whatever, no qualms, no ifs, ands, or buts about it, exactly what we want, right? We wouldn't be growing on the soul level. We wouldn't be open to different things. We wouldn't be, we wouldn't like learn the value of surrendering, of God knowing more than us, of all of that stuff. And so when we think about compromise with these scales of balance here, right? Compromise doesn't mean that you won't get what you want. I mean, maybe it's not exactly what you want, but it is a reminder that compromise, when we are willing to do that, is we learn so much and get so much from the process of compromise, from connecting with someone, from, not having things go 100% our way, from eating our humble pie, from practicing humility, right? There's so much more than just like getting this thing we want on the other side. When we compromise, we're usually developing our emotional intelligence. We're offering vulnerability and connection to someone in a way that maybe we wouldn't before. We're working on our boundaries, right? And compromise also is an important skill for us to practice, because we can get clear about, okay, what things are actually my non-negotiables, right? Sometimes we can be like, I want this exact thing in this exact way in this exact whatever. And then the compromise comes up and it's like, oh, okay, well, if I just had 3 of those 5 things, it's okay. Not telling you to lower your standards, right? But there are things that we believe are necessary and are required for us to feel a certain way, to whatever, but actually it doesn't have to be that all or nothing with what we think we want. And I just want to again point back to these scales of balance here. So compromise, a lot of times, again, what I was saying in the beginning, we think compromise means like I won't get what I want, so we're not even open to it at all. But I just want to remind you all that when you are willing to find balance, to let go of something, to trust that what's for you will be brought to you, even if you're not sure how or whatever, then just remembering that, like how much faith do you have in your higher power that this might actually end up being something that's a better match for you, because you were able to not only focus on the things that you're looking for, the things that are best for you, but you're able to offer that connection and care to someone else as well, right? So there's like the emotional fulfillment of you getting what you want, and the other person or the other things in the situation, right? Like other people's success and abundance and whatever all they get, like is can also fill you up just as much as you just getting material things from it. So group 1, I feel like compromise, thinking about where can I compromise? What can I let go of? What do I not need to have like my exact way, right? Again, we're not talking about standards here. It's just sometimes we can get really focused on these physical reality structures and what all that looks like, when it's just like, well, can I actually like let this go a little bit? Does it need to be that intense? Does it need to be that, whatever, right? So compromise here is a reminder that there can be balance, and there can be a little give and take and surrendering and releasing a little bit, and you can still feel satisfied and fulfilled from going down that route, instead of just like has to be my exact way, my exact time, my exact whatever. Okay, so compromise. And again, what am I afraid I'm going to lose if I compromise? So you can ask yourself that. You can journal on it, right? What am I afraid I won't get? Do I believe I won't be taken care of? What doesn't feel like I'll be granted or given if I compromise? So just thinking about those things as well can be a helpful reflective exercise. And again, the fear of, why am I afraid of compromising? Okay, I'm going to look at some tarot cards for you. Group 1. Whoa. All right. Eight of Pentacles, Empress in reverse, and the Fool. Yeah, so I feel like I feel like you've been working really hard on something and you haven't been getting the results you want, or the timing you want, or it hasn't like panned out in the way you want. And that's resulting in you blocking yourself from like creating or feeling motivated more to do that. So this is like a lot of hard work. You're putting the work in, you're doing what you're supposed to do, all of that, right? And then you're like, where is it? What's happening? Why aren't these things I want coming to fruition? What's happening here? What's going on? This is very demotivating. Okay, like I get it. But this is a reminder that we can never control the results or the outcome. We can only control what we can do in that situation to do that. Now, obviously, most of the time or eventually we get some payoff in some way, shape, or form. Otherwise, we wouldn't do anything, right? But sometimes the compromise can be letting go of my timeline. It could be letting go of it needs to be this exact way, this exact time, this exact whatever. And kind of surrendering to that with this Fool here, right? So kind of being like, okay, I know I'm doing my part. I can trust myself. I can trust what I'm doing. I can trust how this looks. And what I want to do is just let go of that and allow these things to come at the time they want to come at, the pace they want to come at, all of that. But just remembering that, we can never control when or how or the exact way that things unfold, right? We can only control our hard work, our commitment to the process, our showing up and what that looks like. And so I feel like the compromise for you, group one, could be thinking around like, okay, where can I surrender? Where can I let go? Where can I praise myself for my actions, not the results, right? So if you're continuously showing up, if you're doing all your things, if you're putting all this energy in, if you're really focused and continuing to keep going, like, can you praise that? And can you compromise of like, well, I'm not going to praise myself until I get this thing, but it's like, again, can you praise the action and not the results? So I feel like if you've been working hard, if you feel like this is never going to happen, this isn't coming to fruition, blah, 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 right? It's not, you could keep beating yourself up about it, but it's like, how's that working out for you? How's that going? Okay. Are you closer to getting what you want by doing that? Probably not. Okay. So just, how can you give yourself a little grace to let go of that and instead allow things to come into your life? And just, again, like using discernment of just like, I can't focus on that because I can't control it, but these are the things I can control and the things I can influence. So I'm going to put my energy on that, and finding like balance and harmony within yourself usually is a result of that. From kind of knowing what you actually can and cannot control. Okay, let's look at a few more. Okay, so I feel like you're afraid to let go because of, again, whatever the fear is. Maybe you're scared you won't be taken care of. You're scared of it's not going to happen unless I'm trying to control every single thing of it. All right, so we have the Five of Cups, Justice, and the Ace of Pentacles. So it's interesting, this Justice also has, these scales of balance on here, like we saw in the Compromise card, right? So both of that imagery in there. Okay, but so I feel like, compromising, there's two messages I'm getting. The first, again, is the fear, usually around like, I'm not going to get what I want if I compromise, if I let this go, if I whatever, but also letting go of like your timeline. Sometimes we can get so attached to it's got to be this exact way, this exact thing, this exact unfolding, whatever, that when we realize it might not actually be that way, it's too painful for us to feel that. And so we just cling tighter and tighter and tighter instead of just like letting it go. And so again, with this Justice, I feel like when you are able to mourn that and name that and be like, wow, I was really scared this wasn't going to happen for me, but I can let it go now. Like that's when you can create some, again, harmony and balance with that. And then that's when you'll be granted this beautiful new seed of like abundance. And abundance starts as an idea. Abundance starts as a new way, a path, a new direction, a new sign, a new whatever, right? But so I feel like this is a reminder that when you let that go, when you mourn, like when you mourn the thing that can't be or isn't, or the timing or whatever's going on, right? That's when you create space for the new path to unfold, for the way you should be going, for the thing that is meant for you. And so I feel like maybe the resistance to the compromise is like, I don't want to feel upset. I don't want to feel sad. I don't want to, whatever's going on for you with that. But just remembering that, holding space for that, and knowing that, God removes, but God always, always replaces. And so when you outgrow something, trusting in your growth and trusting that outgrowing is still growing. And so these things you grow into are going to be a better match for you than, the thing you're mourning and letting go of. And it's okay sometimes we think, oh, well, like if I'm letting go of this, why am I upset about it? But even when we let go of something by choice or choose to be something different, it's still a loss. A loss we choose is still a loss and can still be painful for us. So just holding space for that and remembering, you know, that when you're brave enough to let go, like God rewards you with a new start, with something new, with, whatever is going on for you with those things. So holding space for that. Okay, I'm gonna pick some more tarot cards for you. Yeah, it takes strength to let go. It takes strength to compromise. It takes strength to not have things be 100% your way all the time, right? So we have the strength card, so I'm talking about strength. Okay, so strength, 9 of Pentacles and 10 of Swords. And so this is a reminder that yeah, when you have the strength to discern like what is actually worth your time and what is not, right? This is saying like, this is what I can control. This is where I can put my energy. This is what I can do versus this is going to be the result if you focus on trying to control the things you can't control, putting your energy all in one place, being like, this is how it's going to be. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going on, right? But instead really focusing on the strength it takes to use discernment of like, this is what works for me. This doesn't work for me. This is what's going on. This is not what's going on. And just, having faith in that and holding space for that and remembering that, when you are able to use these high levels of discernment, like that is a lot of emotional maturity and spiritual maturity and having faith of like, okay, I can't control these things. So let me put my energy on these things I can control. And just the peace that gives you from even, not like running into a brick wall of things you can't control. And so using your strength to discern what you can control, what you can allow to grow, what you can allow to come forward instead of burning yourself out, trying to like push against this thing that you can't actually move or you don't actually have control over, no matter how much you tell yourself that you do have control over it. That's how life goes. We do not have control over these certain things, no matter how much we wish we did. Okay, I'm just going to get just a few more tarot cards for you before I look at some oracle cards. Okay, so yeah, so waking up from your nightmare. Okay, so we have the 9 of Swords in reverse, 9 of Swords in reverse, 2 of Wands, and Ace of Swords. Okay, so I feel like sometimes we can get so exhausted because we are unwilling to compromise, because we are so committed to being our way, our timing, our whatever. But like once you release that, then like, oh, the nightmare's over. Like this, like we exhaust ourselves from trying to push against something that can't move or we can't control or we can't whatever, right? So once that's over, look at all this choice that opens up for us. It's like, oh my God, I can choose so many different things now. There's so many different options for me out there. There's so many, whatever. And then again, with that will come this like newfound, I just heard birthing boundaries, right? Like you'll have some more awareness around like, this is a boundary that works for me. This is one that doesn't. This is something that's good for me. This is something that's not. So this Ace of Swords can be a reminder that like you can say no to these things. And as you practice the boundary, it gets easier, right? Just because a boundary is new to you and it doesn't feel completely comfortable or natural or like, oh yeah, this is the thing I'm going to do. Definitely doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means it's like less practiced and not necessarily like the easiest thing for you to think about and work on and do. And so just, when you are able to kind of put your energy back on the things you can control, again, you see you have choice open up for yourself, and that even that like replenishes you when you're making choices that feel refreshing and nourishing instead of like, oh my God, what am I doing? This is so horrible. I'm never going to figure it out, blah, blah, blah. Right. Then that is like rejuvenating. And that gives us, again, this Ace of Swords energy of just like being aware of certain things with that. And just, again, like birthing boundaries, figuring out what works for you, what doesn't work for you. We outgrow things even when we don't realize we do. And when that happens, we have to have different boundaries and new boundaries. And sometimes it takes a little practice. It takes a little trial and error, which again, we sometimes don't like, but that's part of the human experience, right? Okay, I'm going to pick some oracle cards for you. Group 1. Be courageous. Okay, so this is really nice. So we had the strength card, as you know. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go. So, be courageous. So it takes strength to be courageous. It takes strength to realize, it takes courage to let go of the way you wanted it, of, my exact way, my exact time, my exact whatever. So just be courageous around like taking one step at a time, moving forward, doing those things, and allowing that to be part of your journey and what's happening for you and all of that. So be courageous. Is a reminder that you can, courage isn't like not feeling afraid, it's doing it anyway, even if you do feel fearful. So moving forward, with that piece. And courage is like, it's like a snowball. Once you take one little step, it kind of, you get momentum going, and you can keep moving forward with that. You are good enough. Okay, so like what I was talking about before at the very beginning of the reading, to bring it full circle, is sometimes we think like, oh, I can't ask for what I want, or I can't I can't ask for what I want. I can't compromise because I won't get what I want, and then I won't be good enough, right? But if you know you're good enough, if you know you're enough right now, then you can have faith that what is brought to you will be enough for you, that you need to get through as you continue to work on the things you can control, what's for you, all of that, right? So you are good enough. As a reminder, you're good enough to trust that what's brought to you is what is actually for you, instead of just like, it has to be my way with all of this, right? If you remember that you are a beloved child of God, of the universe, of angels, of whatever language works for you, when you really believe that and you really believe you're taken care of, it's easier to be like, okay, I can compromise here, and I don't need it to be my exact way, my exact time, my exact whatever, right? There can be space for some nuance and clarity, and just, like allowing these things to, to come to you, because it is a result of like who you are and how you feel. Is like coming out on the outside of like, I am good enough. I can trust what's brought to me will be enough to take care of me, and all of those things. So you are good enough. And also we're in Virgo season, and it's a new moon in Virgo. So that card's full moon in Virgo, I know, but still Virgo vibes. Balanced friendships. Okay, your friendships work best when there's an equal share of giving and receiving. So obviously this is a general reading, so take it how it resonates. But if the compromise is around a friendship for you, whatever that looks like, it could be, I don't know, I don't even know any examples, but maybe it's around a certain friendship or friendships in general, giving and receiving, right? Maybe that is like really hitting home the message for you of this, of balanced friendships, but compromising is really important with that. And again, just remembering like, again, your friendships work best when there's an equal share of giving and receiving. If you're really, really good at giving, you need to know how to receive, because there's no giving without receiving. If you're really, really good at receiving, you need to learn how to give, because there's no receiving without giving, right? It's like this loop that goes back and forth. And if you're only doing one side, it's a little unbalanced. It's a little, it doesn't work the best for you. Okay. So balanced friendships. Again, if you want to think about how you can compromise within those, or what's ever coming up for you, or how can I offer a little more love and care, or how can I have like a better boundary? Like it could be about giving, it could be about receiving, it could be about saying, like doing less, like instead of just like overextending yourself and things like that. So balance friendships. Okay, I'm going to close with one affirmation card for you, group one. When I focus on my inner light, I see the world through the lens of love. So again, this compromise, I feel like the energy I'm getting from this reading is like a lot of like, well, like resentment and envy, like, oh, that person has that, or it's so easy for that person, or it's so like this, or it's so whatever. But the compromise is like, how can I look at my own life through the context of my own life, and what does that mean for me, right? And so when you focus on your inner light and focus on you, and what, again, I'm talking about of like, how can I focus on the things I can control, the things that work for me, the things that are for me, instead of just like, well, this person has this and it's so much easier for that person and so much whatever, right? That's obviously going to lead to like, as those thoughts continue, like resentment and anger and judgment and all of that. But instead, seeing the world through the lens of love is offering yourself some love and care and compassion, and just, it's easier to kind of like, and a lot of that like projecting onto other people can fade away once we turn inward and kind of nourish that energy within ourselves, and that love and care in ways we can show up for ourselves, instead of, again, trying to like manipulate and control these things we can't actually control. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 2. So you all pick the card. Look for a sign. Okay, so, I mean, if you're watching a tarot reading on the internet, I'm assuming you are someone who looks for signs regularly. So what I'm hearing with this is see if you can like open your awareness to a sign that you normally wouldn't. Sounds silly. Try to see, but try to say like, God or angels or whoever you pray to, say like, can you please show me in a way that's clear to me? Can you please open up my mind to see something that's maybe here, but I'm not seeing? Can you please show me in a way that I'm not looking for, but is already here, right? A lot of times we're getting guidance. We're just like oblivious to it because we're focused on something else, right? It has to be this exact sign, or we're focused on like it has to come in this exact way or this exact timing or this exact blah 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 blah, right? But actually we're getting guidance. It's just we're too caught up in our own way, in our own mind, in our own egos to see what's going on. So look for a sign can be a reminder to like look for something outside of yourself, or look at it in a new way, or look just kind of like being open to like opening your creativity for seeing the signs instead of just saying like, oh, it has to be this exact way, this exact time, this exact whatever, right? It doesn't have to be. It can be something different. It can be maybe a way that you aren't used to looking for something. It could also be a sign coming to you because what's for you is different than what you think you want, right? So I want this exact thing. So this sign will show me that I'm on the path to that, but actually maybe you're being nudged this way. And so you can't see the signs because you're very focused on like, oh no, I have to have this one in this way in this thing. But look for a sign can be a reminder, again, just like opening your heart and like trying to see in a way that you haven't previously. And so I feel like stuff with light, there's lightning on this card. The angelic being is holding a lightning, a glowing thing, right? The angels have wands. I'll show you in a second. Okay. The angels have wands. But just trying to, when we bring things to the light, they're more clear. And so how can I kind of like move out of my own way to be able to see the light, to be able to show up in a way that is healthy and helpful for myself, instead of just like, oh no, I'm never going to get there. I'm never going to, I'm never going to find the thing that's for me because I'm so focused. So like bringing to the light, when there's more light, we can see longer and wider and in more directions. So like holding space for that is important. So looking for a sign. Okay, and then I'm going to pull some tarot cards for you. Group 2. Are you feeling a little chaotic, group 2? These cards are flying all over the place. Take a deep breath, and the signs are there for you. You don't have to force it. And trying to force the sign is usually a sign that it's time to turn inward and say, like, what's my guidance? What's my relationship with myself? What's my heart telling me? What's going on with all of those things? Yeah, you got to slow down to see what's going on, okay? So I feel like there also could be some avoidance here, no judgment. We avoid things. We go at the pace we can go at. Avoidance doesn't necessarily mean a conscious or unhelpful behavior. If it gets too far and too long, then yes, it's unhelpful. But sometimes we don't look at things because there's no space for it, or we don't feel comfortable, or, whatever, right? So this Knight of Swords is like running forward, full steam ahead. Here we go. No, like, caution to the wind. I'm just moving, I'm going, right? And I just love like the detail on this card always of the eye of the horse, like side-eyeing, like, are you serious? Like, what are we doing, right? Okay, so what's going on with that? But when you do that, this Ace of Pentacles in reverse and Five of Cups in reverse is so this is like missing blessings that are literally trying to be handed to you. So I feel like, what I was talking about, having that very limited sight of, well, you can't see the blessing if you're really focused on them being this exact way, this exact thing, this exact whatever, right? So if you're focused on that, and then also like avoidance of feeling emotion. So maybe if it's not your exact way or this exact thing or whatever, then you feel like, oh, well, then the loss might feel too great, or it might feel like well, if it's not this thing, then I was wrong or whatever, right? So, but there's some avoidance of some painful emotion here, and that could be why you're just trying to like force and make things happen. Because when we're still and turn inward, then we usually have to be with our feelings, and we have to feel something, and we have to look at what's going on inside, and blah blah blah, right? And that takes emotional maturity, it takes emotional regulation skills, it takes the commitment and willingness to be with ourselves. And so this is a reminder that you can get there, but avoiding going at the pace you can go at is good, but getting to the place where you're avoiding, where you're actually like, I don't want to look at that, I don't have to deal with that, right? That's not going to help it be moved through you in any way, shape, or form. So allowing that to giving yourself permission to slow down so you can feel what you need to feel. And then a lot of times when we clear that up and we open that space up in ourselves, it's easier for us to see the signs or see the guidance, because we're not trying to like force a sign to push away, like looking at something that we don't feel comfortable or ready to look at, when that's usually what needs to happen. We're just avoiding it because we don't want to feel the feelings or feel pain or feel loss or disappointment or anything. But when we deal with our emotions and deal with what feels uncomfortable, then we kind of open ourselves up for guidance on the path or the way that is for us. Okay, let me get some more tarot cards for you. Whoa. Yeah, there's a lot for you when you calm down, and not like calm down, because it's the most annoying thing ever when you're not calm or someone tell you to calm down. Okay, so we're not doing that, but practicing like not just like calm down in this moment, but practicing long-term emotional regulation, practicing like down regulating your nervous system. Like, do I do deep breathing? Do I go for walks in nature? How do I show up for myself? How do I take care of myself? How do I do all of those things, right? To like turn inward and feel peace and connection within yourself. Because we have 10 of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, and 10 of Swords in reverse. So I just feel like when you calm down, when you release those things, when you build that connection with yourself of peace and safety, right? That's when you're going to tap into a lot of these like abundant things. And then this Queen of Wands is about, being in your power, feeling clear, feeling connected, feeling like, okay, I know what I want to do. I know what's for me. I know what I can do. And then this is, like you lose the burnout when we think like, oh, if I just get this thing and do this and do 20 million things, and like, that's when burnout goes away, once I have this stuff. But like how you're able to keep yourself calm and regulated while you're looking for all of these things determines if you feel like this or not, right? Or if you feel like this or not. And so when you are able to make your priority taking care of yourself, feeling calm, emotionally regulating, where am I right now? How am I feeling? What's going on within me? Not only does that open you up to other signs and to your guidance and to your path and to accepting things a little more easier with less resistance, but it also helps you just tap into like that abundant energy and that energy of like, whatever comes, I can handle it and I can do it. And God's in control of the future, but I can do what I can do today for myself. And I don't need to run around and push things and make things happen and do all of these, all this pushing and shoving and all that stuff. But there can be, peace and safety and calmness and all of those things for yourself if you are able to make taking care of yourself a priority for yourself. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, so maybe you've been feeling like, what am I getting? Feels like, oh, let me tell you what we have first. We have 8 of Pentacles in reverse, 5 of Pentacles, and Knight of Pentacles. Feels like you've been afraid to take care of yourself or put yourself first or whatever you need to do to take care of yourself, right? So this is like opposite of hard work, opposite of showing up for yourself, opposite of doing those things. And so you feel left out in the cold, right? By yourself, abandoned by yourself. And this isn't a judgment thing. Like there are times where other things have our priority, have our attention. There's times where, these things, we don't really have the space or capacity to take care of ourselves in the way we want to, right? It takes a lot of access and resources and commitment and dedication to ourselves to be able to do that. And so what I'm hearing is like, just do one step at a time, go really, really slow. Just change one thing at a time with all of that, right? So we have the Knight of Pentacles versus the Knight of Swords. So this is like full blown, here I go, not even thinking about it. And this one is so slow and so steady, focused on one thing, right? The horse's feet aren't even in the air on this one. And it's just interesting. These are all Pentacles cards. So I feel like, it's like, oh, I should be taking care of myself. I should be doing this, blah, blah, whatever, right? And then like we can be out in the cold when we don't take care of ourselves. And it's not a judgment again. Like I've been there where it's just like, well, I know I should be doing this, but I'm just not, right? And so just saying, how can I take one little tiny action to show up for myself? How can I do one little thing to take care of myself today? How can I shift one little habit or one little pattern? And this is a reminder that like you don't need to get it all figured out all at once. You don't have to do everything all at once. There can be like different things going on for you with that. And just remembering, the sign to take care of yourself. You can't do much for anyone else if you aren't taking care of yourself. You can't kind of be on your path if you aren't like showing up for yourself and being accountable and holding space for yourself in a way that encourages you to move forward and do these things. So thinking about, what are the ways I'm neglecting myself? What are the ways I'm not taking care of myself? Not in a judgmental way, but in like a curiosity way. And then just being like, okay, well, now I know I was doing that, but here's what I want to do instead. Here's how I can move forward. Here's how I can, whatever. And so again, just really like trusting that, leaning into that, and just doing one thing at a time, right? If we do one baby step at a time, those things add up, and baby steps are still steps. And sometimes people think like, oh, it happened overnight, but it does happen overnight, but there are like a lot of other overnights before that led up to this one. So what does that mean for you? What does that look like? How do you, just start that process? And okay, this is the other thing too. This is why I couldn't move on from this before saying this. Why do you want to do this, right? Okay, if we have no idea the benefits for why we're doing something, and it has to be like emotionally moving, right? It can't just be like, because I think I should, or because this person said so, or because, whatever, right? But when we feel connected and clear and open to be able to do that, then that's when all the other stuff comes forward and we are able to change those things for ourselves. And so you have to like connect to like the emotional reason of why you want to do something, and then like have it be compelling enough for yourself to remember that, right? It could be because you deserve to take care of yourself. It could be because like I'm in so much pain not taking care of myself that I just want to feel peace, right? It doesn't mean you have to like everything you're doing to take care of yourself, but you do like the outcome. You do like how you feel when you do take care of yourself. Instead of, just abandoning yourself and not feeling like you're taking care of yourself or like you deserve it. You're an adult. I'm assuming you're an adult. If you're not, okay. But you have enough agency in your life to be able to move and change some of these things for you in that way. Okay, let's look at a few more tarot cards. Yeah, you have a choice, okay? So you have Two of Swords, King of Pentacles, and Page of Cups. So, there is a choice to like keep the blindfold on, not make a choice, not make a decision either way. What I'm hearing is what you choose can't be wrong. Okay. Even if you go down the wrong path, you can recorrect, you can course correct, you can figure things out, you can try again. Right. So don't feel like, oh, I don't know what to do. That's like sometimes, okay. Whoa. I just got all at once. Okay. Sometimes when we're like, oh, I need a sign so I know what to do, sometimes that can stop us from taking action or doing something instead of just being like, let me just try and see what happens. And then I can course correct, or I can do something different, or I can whatever, instead of just like, oh no, it has to be this exact way, this exact thing, this exact whatever. Right. So making the choice and trusting that you are taking care of whatever you choose, right? This King of Pentacles is like someone who's really clear in what he has, like feels emotionally grounded and clear to themselves and all these things outside of us, and then letting yourself be surprised as you walk along that path, right? Sometimes we can get this idea in our heads of like, okay, I'm going to go down this path and this is what's going to happen and it's going to be amazing and blah, blah, blah. But instead of just like letting life surprise us in amazing ways, or letting something come to us that we didn't even know existed, like that's so wonderful and fulfilling and beautiful and deep, and takes a lot of courage and vulnerability to be able to do that. And so this is just a reminder that you know, when the path is made by walking, and once you start doing something, like things are going to snowball and take effect and go forward for you, and it's easier. You know, I know the card you picked is look for a sign, but sometimes it's easier to just start doing things and see what happens from there, instead of feeling like, oh, I need to wait until, you know, I get the exact right perfect clarity, because again, that can like become an excuse eventually. Okay, I'm going to look at some oracle cards for you, group 2. Let go and flow. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. Okay, so of just like sometimes we're scared to take action because we're like, oh, what's going to happen? How's it going to turn out? I don't know what to do, right? Just start and see what happens. Okay, just get going and see what happens from that. So let go and flow is like, I'm going to take the step, and then I'm going to let myself be surprised by life. I'm going to let myself be surprised by what's brought to me, by these things that I didn't even know existed or were possible. That's what's going to happen for me. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to let go, and I'm going to flow, and I'm just going to go with it. Right. Oh, and then this has a rainbow on it. There's also a rainbow on this look for a sign card. So nice little rainbow action there for you. Okay, let me get some more cards for you. Your dreams need a practical plan. So again, this is a message because it's getting reinforced many times. Okay, so like again, you can be like, I want this thing in this way, and it's going to be this exact way, and blah blah blah, right? But the practicality of actually doing something, it's nice to sit there and talk and brainstorm and dream, and that's all wonderful and important things. But until you start to take action or do something with that, like, what's going on, babe? Like nothing's going to happen until you start doing something, right? So the practical plan is like, it doesn't mean you have to have steps 1 to 100 mapped out. It just means you just need to have like one thing at a time, and then trusting that momentum. And the practical plan is a lot of times just starting to take action even when you don't know what's going to happen or what's going on or all of that. So your dreams need a practical plan. Financial healing, yellow lily. Okay, your money struggles are a thing of the past. Be open to all avenues of receiving, and you'll be provided for in every way. Okay, now this isn't to seem dismissive or be like, you're healed, here's a magical wand if you don't have any money, right? We know that there are financial things going on, there's systemic things, there's a lot of stuff going on, right? But this is a reminder that if you want to heal your finances, if you want to be able to learn how to budget or pay down your debts or like do these things, there are practical ways to do that. And it's like, how much of my energy am I focusing on this? What am I doing? How can I show up in that way, right? People get really triggered about money stuff, and so this is a reminder that if you don't feel like you can talk to anyone about it or whatever, there's so much information on the internet. There's courses you can take. There's basic budgeting. There's like examining my energetic relationship with money. How do I feel about it? What do I think? But again, the look for a sign thing, this is like be open to all avenues to receiving. So this is a reminder that, you know, maybe it's down a path you weren't expecting, or maybe you need to be open to something that you weren't expecting it to be. But just remembering that, you know, when it's time for us to heal or have a new pattern or do something different, a lot of times it's going down a path that we wouldn't choose for ourselves. It doesn't make sense, that we're like, why would that be for me? It doesn't really, you know, whatever. But just remembering like healing takes a lot of surrender. It takes a lot of discernment. It takes a lot of like, you know, letting things be different for yourself. And again, like not acting like you have all the answers and you're like, I know what to do. I know where to go. I know, you know, whatever. You know, like really surrendering to that and letting that be, like being open to, you know, a sign of like, here it is, being open to a sign that might not be like, oh, like not looking with your eyes, but looking with the physical body resonance, right? Like, oh, here's the sign I'm looking for, so I'll recognize it when I see it, instead of like, oh, am I recognizing it by how it feels or by how it looks? Okay, so like here's the sign, and I was looking for that sign, so I think that's my sign, but it's like, does that even feel resonant for me? Is that what I want? Versus something that maybe we weren't thinking about or weren't going to choose, and then we're like, oh, actually that one's for me because it feels connected. It feels right in my body, even though I logically in my mind wasn't thinking that that was the thing for me. Okay, we'll close with one affirmation card for you. I'm the loving energy of the universe. So again, this is a reminder that like if you, universe, God, whatever you want to call this, okay, when you know you embody that, then when you go by how things feel, like that's an extension of God's guiding energy in our lives, like feeling what resonates for us, feeling what connects in my body, what feels good, and just remembering that that is a way for us to like, its resonance is a way for us to be guided instead of just like, again, just being logical. So if you know you are an extension of like source that created you, then you can trust what you can feel. You can trust what feels right for you. You can trust this path that you're on to get there. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Hi, everyone. Welcome. It's for everyone who picked group number 3. So I'll pick the card Meditation Brings Answers. So this is really nice. See the person meditating here, and then this could be your higher self, could be angels, it could be whatever you think send you messages. But this is a reminder that sometimes when we're like, what do I do? Where do I go? Da, 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 we can be like grabbing and trying to like sort through a lot of external things and try and figure out like, what do I need to do? What's going on? What's for me? Blah, 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 right? But actually, when we feel the most chaotic, we need to go inward more. And that could mean self-soothing. That could be being silent with ourselves. It could be saying, what do I need? Why am I wounded? Right? Sometimes if we haven't learned to be with ourselves, and it's not judgment because we have to do that all of our lives. We have to keep going deeper and deeper with ourselves, right? But when we know how to do that, then we know how to open ourselves up to like what we need in that moment, right? Oh, I'm feeling upset because of this. So this is how I can soothe myself, right? And a lot of times, if we haven't practiced emotional regulation or practiced like connecting to our feelings and seeing what those are like, then when we feel uncomfortable or feel a feeling, we want to go outward. And so that's where it's like, you have to say this thing to me, or you need to act in this way. This person who I can't control needs to do this thing that I can't control so I feel better, which that would be nice, right? And people who love and care about us, there can be that intentionality there, but we can't control anyone. And so it's for our benefit to learn how to connect to those energies within ourselves and practice tuning in and saying, what do I need emotionally in this moment right now? How can I give that to myself? How can I show up for myself? How can I, whatever. But trusting that meditation does bring answers, that it is helpful for us to be able to just like allow that in our lives. So, and tuning inward. Okay, this is what we want to think about, right? When we feel uncomfortable, for a lot of us who weren't taught emotional regulation skills or how to sit with ourselves, we feel uncomfortable, and then it's like, let me put this outside of myself and connect to this and do this thing and whatever, right? But actually, it's better for us to tune inward and say, okay, what do I need from myself? What's going on here? Why do I feel upset? Why do I feel like not safe? How can I take care of myself? How can I affirm myself? Like, what's the wound that got touched, and how can like I reconnect to it? And being able to sit and close your eyes and just tune in with yourself and just do some deep breathing. It looks like you're doing nothing, but that takes a lot of commitment to yourself, takes a lot of self-compassion, it takes a lot of self-patience, it takes a lot of gentleness, right? If you're new to meditation and you want to start, you can start by going on a walking meditation. So don't listen to any music or anything, just go for a walk. Notice your steps, notice, and if there's any nature around you, right, then you can do sitting meditation where you have guided. So someone's like, a voice is talking to you, and then as you work up, you can just do meditation where you just focus on your breath, or you do counting, or you just say a mantra over and over again, right? So there's different ways to practice meditation, but the ability to sit with ourselves and turn inward and connect to that, that's what brings us peace. But most of us are so disconnected from ourselves that we're taught to by society that we like latch in these things outside of us instead of just like, well, what's going on for me inside with all of that. So meditation brings awareness, or brings answers, and I guess awareness, Freudian slip, okay, brings awareness, but just remembering that, when you connect to yourself, you give yourself the chance to like feel better, feel stronger, feel more clear. You deepen that relationship with yourself, and the kind of what's going on inside of us is guides how we reflect and show up into the world around us. So meditation brings answers, is a reminder that the relationship with the self is worth nourishing, is worth connecting to, is worth, all of that. So meditation brings answers. Can we look at some tarot cards for you? Group 3. Yeah, I mean, this is just really honing in on that message, okay? So you have the 2 of Cups, Ace of Cups, and 4 of Swords. So this is, again, meeting yourself where you're at, wanting to meet the self, wanting to connect to yourself, wanting to tune inward, and just really saying, like, what is my resistance to myself? What feelings do I feel? And the ones when I feel that, that's when I go outward, right? Most of us can stay with ourselves for some of our emotions, but there's certain feelings we feel, and it comes like either like yelling or angry or wanting to control something outside of us or being mad at something outside of us. Like, it comes as projection, right? So just paying attention and saying, what feelings do I have that happens? When do I feel like that these things outside of me, whatever is going on? And so when we are willing to turn inward with compassion and patience and accept the parts of ourselves that we can more quickly reject and not take it seriously, or not feel like, oh, I need to be paying attention to that. That's when we have this Ace of Cups energy of just like, I feel fulfilled, I feel abundant, I feel like, okay, I am connected to myself, and that overflows into all these things outside of me, right? So when we feel that inner connection with ourselves, that is what feels like peace. Building that relationship with ourselves leads to peace and contentment outside of us in these ways. And then this 4 of Swords is a reminder that you can do that by meditating. You can do that by slowing down, turning inward, resting, praying, doing slow, gentle things with ourselves that maybe we wouldn't otherwise. But knowing that, pouring into that relationship with ourselves is how we build that. And don't get upset at yourself. I mean, try your best to practice some compassion for yourself, because most of us aren't taught to have a relationship with ourselves. And there's a lot of things about ourselves that, like, we don't like, or we feel like, oh, I can't do this because of this, this, and this. But really, once we take the time to turn inward and to get clear about it, we realize, oh, okay, there are things I can do for myself. There are things that, it takes time to build a relationship with someone else outside of us. And so it takes time to build that relationship with ourselves. What do I like? What are my triggers? When do I get upset? When do I do all these things, right? There is a way for you to be able to do that. Instead of feeling like, oh, I can't do any of these things, I can't whatever, right? But turning inward, and feeling like peace and contentment for yourself. And you do that by, again, getting to know yourself, practicing patience, practicing care, practicing gentleness with yourself. All right, we got some resistance. Group 3, we got some resistance going on. So we have the 4 of Cups, the Emperor, and the 4 of Pentacles. So let's just look at these bookending, okay? Both very similar, both 4s, both a person sitting there who's a little blocked, no judgment, okay? But this is like not being able to receive. And so maybe you are meditating, you're sitting there, but for some reason you aren't letting yourself connect to that, which, again, no judgment. We all do these types of things, right? But so what is going on? What's the resistance? What's the, I don't want this, I don't want to receive, I don't want whatever. And then this is kind of the other end of the spectrum of like, I don't want to let anything go. I don't want to change. I don't want to be different. But this Emperor in the middle has kind of like mastered both of those two things and found the middle ground, right? So one is like, I don't want to receive anything. And this one's like, I don't want to let go of anything. And they might seem different, but again, two sides of the same coin. But this Emperor energy is like, what have I done to allow things into my life? What have I done to open that relationship with myself, to let go of what needs to let go of, to receive what needs to be received? And again, finding balance with that instead of feeling like, oh, I need to choose one thing or the other, right? How do you find balance and hold that within yourself moving forward? And again, practicing like emotional mastery. Like a lot of people, it seems counterintuitive, but the more calm you can be, the more you can stay with yourself through uncomfortable, upsetting situations, the more you can show yourself compassion and love and care and patience when you feel like you don't deserve it. That's a sign of more emotional mastery than like never giving yourself any of that ever. And so just really focusing on that and focusing on, how can I give these things to myself? How can I show up for myself? What am I resistant to within myself? Like what emotions, what feelings, what, whatever, what doesn't feel like, again, paying attention to what parts of myself do I feel like I can't stay with myself through, or what parts of myself do I not like? What parts of myself are, whatever. And holding space for that and just kind of getting curious about it, not judgmental, right? But just saying like, well, what do I need to do to feel comfortable with that emotion, to give myself love and care and compassion, instead of the opposite. Because again, the areas where we find it hardest to give ourselves compassion are typically the areas where we need it the most if we want to feel peace and contentment inside. Yeah, okay, so we have Six of Cups, Knight of Cups, and the Hangman. So sometimes when we realize how we haven't been kind to ourselves, it can be really overwhelming. And so we don't want to do it because it's like, oh my God, I've been so mean to myself for so long. Can't even look at anything, right? But this Six of Cups is about, what part of your inner child feels rejected. Like a lot of our wounding comes from childhood and our attachment issues and all that stuff. And so we think about, what's the wound going on here and how can I, take care of myself? So for example, if your wounding is around feeling rejected or feeling like you're not good enough, notice the times you feel like that, and then say, okay, how can I pour into myself right now about this? How can I give myself love and care and compassion about this instead of judgment or whatever, right? So starting with the Six of Cups, connecting to that inner child, feeling more clear and gentle about it, and going one thing at a time, right? You don't need to, and you can't, you can't fix or heal or work through everything all at once, right? Things have their time and place. We have to go one thing at a time. We have to be gentle, right? But so this is a reminder that you can start by just offering compassion to yourself in one area of your life. And then once you do that, you can kind of take that blueprint and apply it to other areas of your life and apply it to other things that are going on for you. And so this Knight of Cups can again be a reminder of just like one thing at a time, just go one day at a time, give myself love and care and compassion one thing at a time. And don't play yourself. The Hangman to me is like learned helplessness. Don't feel like, oh, there's too much wrong with me, or I don't have a relationship with myself at all, or I'm too messed up, or whatever, that I can't do anything at all. But this is a reminder that you can, and you just do one thing at a time, right? Just say one kind affirmation to yourself, right? I love myself. I deserve to treat myself with compassion. You're doing a good job. I can take care of you, whatever the stories are. But just not perpetuating that it took a lot of time. Like those things have been practiced for a very long time. And so it's going to take some time to kind of reverse and change those. Might not take as much time as it was, right? But it does take intentional time and effort and energy to kind of flip those around and do that. Okay, I'm going to look at some oracle cards for you. Group 3. Yeah, being still. Can you be still with yourself, right? And that doesn't just mean like, obviously this is about meditation, but can you be still with yourself when you feel upset, when you feel triggered, when you have the emotion, instead of like running away from it or having to do something or whatever? Can you just like sit with that emotion and feel what it feels like, and hug yourself and love yourself and be like, I'm doing a good job. I care about myself. I can get through this. I can handle it. I can, whatever. So meditation obviously helps you practice doing that, but once we're in the real world, once we're in the world where we interact and move and do things and we're not just still, a lot of things can come through. Invest in your spirit. That's really beautiful. Wow. That's so sweet. And that's what, meditation and connecting to yourself is about. It's about investing in your spirit. It's about investing in your soul. The soul has this innate desire to know itself. And the way we do that is like practicing love and care and compassion and acceptance for ourselves, right? You can reject yourself your whole life if you want, but I mean, what are you going to get out of that long term, right? So invest in your spirit can be like, what am I? You're going to go way farther in your relationship with yourself if you show up with love and care and compassion and kindness than if you show up with like judgment and disowning and shunning and abandoning, right? So investing in your spirit, I mean, that's part of why we're here, is to develop this like love and care and gentleness with ourselves and know ourselves on a deeper level and give ourselves more care and compassion, because that's the true spiritual test, right? It's like a lot of us can be good at accepting other people. When it comes to ourselves, we're pretty mean to ourselves, or it's harder, or it takes longer. So investing in your spirit is investing in yourself and, holding space for that. And the difficult road of self-acceptance, right? Mastering the self, and not like in a weirdo way, but mastering the self in like a gentle, kind, compassionate, loving way. It's like as more things come up, it's like, can I continue to be kind to myself? Can I continue to be gentle myself? Can I continue to, whatever the story is, with that. So investing in yourself and in your spirit. Don't let your past hold you back. Wow. Also really beautiful. So I feel like this is your past action. So maybe if you did something in the past that you didn't like, or you're not super proud of, or whatever, you can give yourself permission to let that go. You can know you were doing the best you could at the time. And just offering yourself some love and compassion and forgiveness, make amends where and if you need to. But other than that, you're not going to gain anything from beating yourself up forever about it. It takes more emotional maturity to admit you were wrong and to change than to be like, I did nothing wrong, with all that. So I think that's the first thing. And then don't let your past hold you back. Don't let your past relationship with yourself hold you back, right? So if you were so mean to yourself for so long and so many years, you don't have to do that anymore. You can be different. You can build gentleness and love and care and compassion with yourself. And you don't need to feel bad that you used to behave in a certain way to yourself, right? All of us are doing the best we can at the times that we're doing that. And then again, it's about growth and choosing to be different, choosing to be better, and choosing to be, a different version of ourselves. And so don't let your past hold you back, as a reminder that just because you treated yourself this certain way for a certain whatever, doesn't mean you have to keep doing that. Doesn't mean you have to, abandon yourself or whatever, whatever's going on. But just because you were mean to yourself for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years doesn't mean you have to today. You can start to switch that and rewrite that and be a little different than you were before. And it's like, once you want to be different, it's okay to be like that, right? Once you know better, you do better. And it doesn't mean you're going to get it perfectly right away, right? So have some compassion for that too, a little meta compassion there. But it is about, knowing that, okay, I can be different. I can have a different story. I can choose something different than what I was choosing and doing for myself before. So don't let, how you were before, how it was before doesn't define how it has to be in the future. You can be different. You can allow these different things to be in your life. And you can give yourself permission to grow and change and be different, It's change is guaranteed part of life, no matter what we do. So that can also include changing for the better and changing ourselves and coming out on the other side of these things, instead of just like, oh, I have to keep doing these things because this is what I did for, however many years or however long. Oh my God. Share the message of love, daffodil. Rivers of love flow within you, and others may benefit from this healing energy. Be mindful of each word that passes your lips. So I feel like, I know this card is talking about other people, but because we're talking about a lot of self-compassion came up for you guys in group 3, just remember that, like, share the message of love, share that with yourself. A lot of us have the blueprint already of how to be kind to ourselves because we're kind and caring and loving and compassionate and thoughtful and considerate of all these people in our lives. But it's hard for us to do that to ourselves, not because we can't, but just because it's not practiced. So just remember, you have the blueprint of being loving and caring and kind and compassionate to all these other people in your life. So it's just going to take some time and practice and patience to figure out how to do that with yourself. It doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It doesn't mean you're, whatever. It just means that it's just not super practiced yet, and that's okay. But, rivers of love flow within you. And so just giving yourself the loving care, kindness, gentleness, patience. If you're unsure, how should I treat myself? How would you treat a friend? How would you treat someone you love and care about? How would you treat a child that you love and care about, right? And so if it would be in a loving, kind, compassionate, patient way, what's stopping you from doing that for yourself, and tuning into that. Okay, and we'll close with one affirmation card for you. Group 3. I am a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to love. Okay, so this is really beautiful. And again, the whole point of this, what I was talking about in the beginning, to bring this all full circle. I mean, and this is kind of the same image on this card and this card. It's really beautiful, right? So this light beaming down, again, eyeball, rainbow light beaming down. Okay. The soul wants to know itself. And when we build this connection with ourselves, when we have the human experience of pain, of self-judgment, of right, all of that can be used to build a closer, deeper relationship with ourselves. And when we do that, that's actually what expands our soul. So painful things expand our soul. We're not romanticizing them or condoning them, right? But hardship, self-rejection, having to move through that and rebuild that relationship with ourselves, that's what helped build our soul and our spirit also. So those things, while they may not be ideal or we don't want them all the time, they are part of the human experience. And that does get us closer to love, to God, to self-compassion, to empathy, to feeling connection to other people. So again, I'm a spirit having a human experience, and I'm here to get closer to love. It's so beautiful. Okay, that's everything I have for you. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all that is linked below. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day.